Amrit, everything is active? Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this much awaited session on one of the most grossing tech topics in the market right now, blockchain. This session will be conducted by Webwiz, the web development club of NITR, along with collaborations with GirlScript, the fastest growing tech community in India, and the finance club of NITR. Today we have with us Mr. Pranjal Bharadwaj. Mr. Pranjal is a blockchain enthusiast who has been actively involved in hackathons, webinars, and workshops as a mentor and a speaker in blockchain and AI. He's familiar with tech stacks like Ethereum and Hyperledger Fabric framework. By working on transforming healthcare sector using AI and blockchain by researching on efficient mutation control algorithms, he's making significant development in the world of blockchain. So this session would start with Sir having a presentation about blockchain and the various sections of blockchain. We'll also be having a Q&A section towards the end, so please make sure to stick with us until then. Over to you, Mr. Pranjal.
Hello guys, welcome everyone. First of all, thank you so much for the team of NITR to invite me for this session. I'm really glad that you guys thought I was that I should come here and share my experiences and whatever knowledge I have with the people. Welcome everyone. Um, so today I'll be giving you a brief introduction about blockchain. I'll be taking you, f- I'll be giving you the basic knowledge, the foundational knowledge that you require to get started with blockchain, as well as I'll be telling you, how to get started with the smart contracts development and how you can familiarize yourself with the whole Ethereum environment as well. So let me start by just sharing this presentation that I've made for you guys. Um, Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. Um, if you guys, if you guys can just type in that it's visible, we shall move ahead. Also, I would like to know about the audience that is attending today's webinar. Great. Also, I would like to know more about the audience which is attending today's webinar. So feel free to write down that how much experience do you have about blockchain. It can be the case that you might not have even heard of blockchain before this webinar, or you might have heard about blockchain but you don't know anything about it, or maybe you know about the basic concepts and you have not tried hands-on development, or you have not tried reading more about it or going into the in depth of these cryptographic concepts, of this mathematics of everything which is going behind all the blockchain. So maybe you guys can just type out whatever you guys have experience in. Hmm. So most guys have just heard about blockchain, which is usually the so basically it's the perfect audience for today's session. You guys will get a you guys will get the foundational knowledge about blockchain, and you guys can start learning more about it. So you guys can see in the chat there's a pinned comment which has all the material, all the resources that you'll need for today's talk. It has all the presentations that I'll be showing you. It has all the sample codes that I'll be sharing with you. So feel free to go over there. It's hosted on GitHub, so you guys can just go and fork this repository. You can star it if you like it. You can share it around if you want. You can just read more about it. It's just a comprehensive resource. Um, Also, if you guys have any questions, you are free to drop these questions in the chat box during the session. Also, we have a Q&A at the end, so you guys can also ask me questions over there. So if I think that there is any question that I need to address in specific during the session, I'll make sure that I address it. So yeah, that's great. So yeah, so it's a beginner friendly workshop that we'll be starting. So yeah, so let's start with the session. Thank you for a great introduction. You guys covered everything. I would like just go in the specifics of what I do. So basically, I'm also a student. So I don't have I'm not really experienced in working in companies and on big blockchain projects. But since I'm an enthusiast, I'm open to contribute to like I'm always open to the idea of contributing to the community or giving back to the community as much as I can. That's why I've been giving multiple talks, sharing whatever experience I have. I've been writing blog articles and all that, explaining how can one who has not even heard about blockchain can get started with it. Just a little bit about myself. I've also co-founded and I'm running a community of blockchain experts, blockchain enthusiasts, in my college VIT. Also, I was the founder and community lead for Ethereum India and the Hyperledger Tamil Nadu. So Hyperledger is also a technology. It's a blockchain based technology, and I'm the community lead for Tamil Nadu region. So yeah, so basically in these communities what we do is we come together, we like usually we organize some different sessions in which we invite people who can come and share their experience. So yeah, basically, if you guys want, you can join these meetup groups. If you want, you can ask around people. If you have any doubts, you feel free to reach me or reach anyone in the community. It's really helpful. All right. So let's start with the basic term. What do you mean by blockchain? So blockchain is essentially what we call it. So blockchain is basically it's a chain of interconnected blocks, and these blocks carry certain information, which can be useful in different ways. That's why it has um, multiple applications in various different sectors. So yeah, so basically, the concept of blockchain is the decentralization of things. So usually we know that all these organizations or all the whatever we whatever let's take an example of a transaction. So if you guys are transferring money from your wallet to your friend's wallet, there's an intermediary involved in facilitating the transactions. So there will be a bank which is transferring these certain amounts to your friend's account. So basically the essence of blockchain is that there should be no one involved in this process. So basically blockchain essentially helps us to eliminate all the people who are involved in this process and just make it a peer-to-peer network. So yeah, this is the basic definition of blockchain. Now, coming to the difference between Bitcoin and blockchain. Now, many people often confuse these two terms. Many people say that they don't know the difference about what is the difference between blockchain and Bitcoin. And rightly so. In the starting white papers that come up, these both these terms were very asynchronous. Like they were used in each other's places, but uh, but over the years there has been clear distinction between these two terms, and they're actually two different terms. So the difference is that Bitcoin is basically a technology. Blockchain is basically the technology which is behind Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, and it functions on the principles of blockchain. So Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. Blockchain might have different applications apart from just cryptocurrency. It can have different applications um, in healthcare, in finance, like cryptocurrency, as we discussed. It might have different applications in governance and in healthcare, in agriculture. It has a lot of different applications as well. It's not just limited to your finances, not just limited to your cryptocurrency. So basically, that the essence of that is just a difference between these two terms. So yeah, coming to the components of the block. So as we discussed, blockchain is made of different blocks. So these blocks or these blocks are connected, and there are certain components which are common in this blockchain. So there are essentially three components. One is the data, then second is the hash of the block, that of a specific block, and second is the hash of the previous block, which is connected to the specific block we're talking about. So let's take as you guys can see this image, let's take an example of block 2. So this block 2 will be carrying certain information, which is your data. So when we talk about this, the block 2, it will have all these three things. It will have a data component. It will have a unique hash. Now, you guys might ask, what is hash? Hash is basically a unique identity of a block. When we talk about hash, you can take example for example, we all of us have a unique fingerprint, so which is unique to every person, which is a unique, you can say, a serial number which is assigned to everyone. So hash is basically a serial number which is assigned to every block on the blockchain. So and the way you generate hashes, you have different hashing algorithms. You have different, SHA algorithms. You have SHA-256. You have different algorithms which taken, which can have any sort of input. It can have, you know, we can give a input of any length of the string, and it will give us output of a certain bits. So the number of bits which will come out after hashing will be equal. Sorry, which will come out to be will be equal. So we can see all these hash has just five, you can say, characters. So yeah, so basically hash is a unique ID. So in order to make sure that all these blocks are inside a chain, that is why we are also storing the information about the previous block. So if me or if someone else tries to remove this block number 2 in this blockchain, what you will see is the previous hash will not be same. Like if I remove the block 2, then block 1 and block 3 will be connected, right? And the previous hash of block 3 is not equal to the hash of block 1. So this will let us know that there has been some tampering which is done to the blockchain, and we will know that someone has tampered with the blockchain and the data has been manipulated. That's why it's very useful. We can see it's a very practical application that we can apply to a lot of different things. It is not easy to manipulate with blockchain. When we talk about it, when we look at it, it's not easy to just for an outside attacker to just come and change the variables. It's not easy for them to come and change the data or the value of these blocks. So yeah, so this is the basic concept. This is the basic components which are present on the block, which gives every block on the blockchain a unique identity. Okay, so now what is a Genesis block? Genesis block is the, you can read the definition, is the first block in the blockchain. So uh, in this blockchain, if this is the first block, then block 1 will be the Genesis block. So you can clearly see that if we'll start with any block and we'll try to link, if we'll try to go backwards, and if we'll try to trace the first ever block, it will be the Genesis block on any blockchain. If we'll try to go in the backwards direction from block 3, it will take us to block 1. So this tells us that this is the Genesis block in this blockchain. So this is the original, this is the first block that has been mined for this particular blockchain. This is the Genesis block. Yeah. So let's talk about the structure. So as I told, it's a decentralized structure. It's not a centralized structure. So when we talk about centralized structure, it means that there is one identity, one authority, which is governing all these transactions, or not even transactions, who's looking after all the movements that has been made on these network, on blockchain network. So when we talk about centralization, it's not really good. Like if, like, we can talk about this as a, like, we can take example of, let's say, a democracy in India, and we can take example of dictatorship in some other country. So we can see that if a dictator is trying to impose over the media, over the people, that certain information cannot leak out from their from their country. Certain information cannot go out. Some people cannot access some certain websites. So it's not necessarily good. It's is a network in which all the peers are connected to each other. So there are a lot of advantages in the peer-to-peer network, that the speed of sharing files, of sharing data is like really good. So when we talk about peer-to-peer network, we can also look at it as like, you guys must know about torrent. So it's also a peer-to-peer sharing protocol. So yeah, so it's one of the really cool concepts. And yeah, this is the essence of blockchain structure. So blockchain is completely decentralized. Mm, yeah. So there's also another myth, like I talked about. People think that blockchain is similar to Bitcoin. Similarly, uh, many people often think that databases and blockchain system, how they're different. Suppose if a company is operating in 50 different countries, they have their all these servers which are located. All these servers are located in some different countries. So in a way that is also decentralized. But but the thing is, in the blockchain system, all these servers and all these systems are connected with each other. So if I'm on a network, I'm also connected with all the people who are on the network. If there is any transaction that is going to happen, I will play an equal role as someone else will in confirming a certain transaction. Everyone is going to take part in verifying a transaction, or whatever it may be. So we can take example of, let's say, voting. If I actually started a voting system on blockchain, so everyone is free to vote, and everyone gets a right to vote in this peer-to-peer network. And no one can actually tamper with the data. A lot of people say the voting is rigged and all that. So in this blockchain based, or in this decentralized based voting system, no one will be able to tamper with the data. So no one can raise questions, because if you just tamper with the data, then they will know that there has been some changes that has been done, and we will actually get to know that, like, who is trying to access this information. So basically, it's very hard to manipulate with the data. So in the blockchain system, everyone is connected. All the nodes which are spread across the network, they are all connected. Okay, so do I have any questions? Um, yeah, you can say like pointers, because like it's sort of a list. It has information about it carries information, some data, and information about the previous things, which is like pointers also. Which language we use? We have a so basically we have in order to write smart contracts, we use Solidity, which I'll be showing you how to write some basic code in that. We also have different languages like Viper and stuff, which you guys can, if you guys want, you can go through the documentations, you can read it, you can try to learn it for the development. Um, so yeah, so language, if you want, there's a language called Solidity, which is widely used. Now, what are the benefits of blockchain? Like, why do we actually need blockchain? So, number one point that we have is time reduction. So um, you know, when we talk about sending money to through a bank to some other account, it might take some time to facilitate the transaction. Usually the transactions are pretty quick, but sometimes transactions might take up to 2-3 days in verifying and in the whole process. So this time reduction problem is a big problem which is solved by blockchain, as the transactions are like really quick. When we talk about in the Bitcoin network, if you want to facilitate a transaction, it will not take more than 10 minutes. 10 minutes is also after so many people have come upon the main net. Earlier, it was like really less. So yeah, so it is sort of instantly, the transactions are sort of instantly, and there is no service tax, or there's no sort of GST, or there's no service fees that these banks are charging to make the transaction happen. So everything is like everything is free of cost. Plus you're getting better speeds. So number two, we have reliability. So we can actually rely on the transactions made, because we have information. As I said, we have information about the previous hash, right? So when we talk about transaction, we will have information about what the previous transaction that has been done by this user. So if I'm getting a Bitcoin, I will be getting the information about from what user I'm getting, and I'll also have a whole track of the transactions which has been done on the same block earlier. So I'll have a complete sort of a, so you can say, a log for all the transactions that were done on this on the block before. Okay, do you have any questions? Um, how do we get to know about the technology behind blockchain and get to develop it? So the technology behind blockchain is basically removing the backend thing. So you're not actually hosting a website on a cloud, or on a specific backend. All you're doing is you're replacing it with the Ethereum chain, or if you're talking about any sort of blockchain, you're replacing that with the blockchain network. So basically, you'll be writing some logics, you'll be compiling those logics, and you'll be deploying on the chain. But the front end remains the same. If you want to talk about specifically about development, usually we use like Angular or React for the front end part, and for the back end, we just write contracts, which are these logics, and we deploy it on the chain. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah. So the code is also included. So you guys will actually learn about how to get started with writing basic Solidity codes. I'll also share some resources which are really good for the beginners if you want to learn about how to write these logics about making one-way transactions, making two-way transactions, or even making some ERC20 tokens, which is really cool stuff. I'll definitely come to that point later. So yeah, just finishing it off, we had like fraud prevention. As I said, these are not blockchain cannot be tampered, so it prevents all the fraud, which in return offers us security. There's complete transparency. This sort of a collaborative effort because all the peers are included in the network, and this is completely decentralized. So these are all the benefits that I listed out throughout the session. In the first 25 minutes, I basically, I've just told about all the advantages of blockchain. So also there are some disadvantages towards blockchain. If you talk about it, there are some disadvantages like if we say that there is no central authority which is involved to facilitate all these transactions, then if someone loses their sort of account number or their password, we cannot go to some bank, or we cannot go to a company. We cannot call the bank and we can ask for our information. How do I retrieve my credentials? You just cannot. You cannot retrieve your wallet information. You cannot retrieve your account information. So these are some of the downsides to it. So yeah, let's talk about the use cases. So how blockchain is actually, how we are actually using blockchain in all these different industries. So a lot of research has been coming up. A lot of people have been writing white papers. So okay, so basically in blockchain we call a research paper sort of a white paper. So a lot of researchers have been writing a white paper describing how we can include all the concepts of blockchain and how we can actually apply them in different sectors. So let's talk about markets. So we can actually, some research has been done that we can improve the billing system. We can improve the monitoring of, let's say so basically we can track all these. So now, like how we can track all these nodes on the blockchain, we can track all the products which is sort of stored in the market. We can hack the supply chain. So if I'm shipping a food product from here to some other state, I can actually verify, and I will have the track record of I'll have the whole information about the product. Like this product was shipped from this state on this date and this time. Then when it will reach the other point, I'll get the information about at this time this product reached the state. So basically, this whole supply chain network can take uh, can can basically use blockchain in a lot of different things. So talking about government sector, so as I took an example of voting, so you cannot rig voting system if you build the voting system on blockchain. So in the government, like a lot of governments are trying to develop a really secure and a really robust voting system, which they can use in future to conduct votes, or just to conduct all these voting sessions. Also, the concept of digitization of these documents. Suppose suppose I have some data. Suppose I have some sort of, like, all these government offices. They have these hard copy of the reports, or of all the files which are stored. We can easily digitize the data and we can store it on the blockchain, so that it's decent. It's sort of stored properly, and it's safe. All the data which is stored on the blockchain is safe. Um, Similarly, in the IoT, like, I don't have sorry, IoT. So basically, I don't have much idea about how we actually include blockchain and IoT. But yeah, a lot of sensors can actually take use of blockchain by having a by making a network of it. So in that, there's a lot of, drone networks that are made, which helps us in the IoT sector as well. Also healthcare, which is something that I'm also researching in. Like how we can track. Let's say there's a really popular problem statement that a lot of people are actually trying to build, which is how can we track the COVID vaccine, and how do we know about, like, if I'm trying to ship COVID vaccine from one place to another, if I'm trying to send the vaccine from one facility to another, how can we track the supply chain? How can we track the COVID vaccine? So we can actually do it with the help of blockchain. We can create hyperledger frameworks. We can create these models which will help us to analyze and track all these, whatever product it may be. In case of healthcare, it can be vaccines. It can be it can be some other useful, some other useful medical products. So yeah, also the data management of all the patient records. If I'm talking about storing patient records, it is something that if you will store it in the files, you might end up losing those files, or you might end up, uh, you don't know what's going to happen to the files. But if you digitize those documents, and if you'll store that information in the blockchain, it will be like really secure. Yeah. So finances and science and arts. So basically, it is used in supercomputing and cloud analysis, in peer-to-peer sharing networks. Also in the finance, we use it for payments, for cryptocurrencies. So yeah, so these are the basic use cases and how we can apply like, these are the applications of blockchain. Okay. So, talking about Bitcoin. So yeah, so Bitcoin was actually created by this anonymous person, or a group of people we don't know yet, by Satoshi Nakamoto. So this technology was actually published in a paper by this anonymous name. No one knows who's the author, or if it's a group of authors, or who came up with it. But Satoshi Nakamoto was the first one to come up with this technology. He was the first one to utilize the technology of blockchain to mine cryptocurrencies, and the Genesis block was mined by Satoshi Nakamoto. So yeah, so this is just a brief of Bitcoin. You guys can read, and also it follows a proof of work model. So basically, when we talk about the consensus algorithms, we have two different algorithms. We have a proof of work model, and we have a proof of stake model. So when we talk about proof of work, so proof of work basically means that, there will be some sort of a computation task that everyone has to do. So if I'm running that computation task, if I'm running that task on my system, and if someone else is running on that system, we are basically competing to get, results, to get the currency. So basically, all the miners, we try to mine by actually competing for the rewards. But in the case of proof of stake, there's no competition. There's an algorithm. Like I said, we'll be writing smart contracts. There's a smart algorithm which will be creating, so that we know, sort of, who to give these currencies to. So the cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, they operate on proof of work model, and the currencies like Ethereum, they operate on proof of stake model. So you'll know about Ethereum in a bit. So yeah, moving on for now. Yeah. So why do they have value? Because you guys have heard about all these hackers who demand money in terms of Bitcoin, because their wallets are untraceable. There is no one identity which is linked to the Bitcoin wallets. So the Bitcoin technology actually helps us in maintaining the anonymity, and also helps us in facilitating good like large transactions, or when you talk about transferring money, instantly, this is where the Bitcoin plays a really important role. And there's no one involved in the process, so it's really secure. So it's a good alternative to the flat money that we have right now. So yeah, I'll just see if we have any questions also.
Yes, sir, we have been receiving a lot of questions.
Yeah,
So
sure. This blockchain database for cryptocurrency. So basically, when we talk about this cryptocurrency is basically using the technology behind blockchain. So these are like, you can say this, that blockchain is helping the cryptocurrency to function by providing this decentralized system, this decentralized sort of a database, yeah, to actually run these transactions, to actually exchange all these bitcoins or whatever currency we are talking about, and also to mine these cryptocurrencies. Is blockchain helpful? Yeah, I discussed a lot of applications about blockchain. You can also Google that up. If blockchain is used in case of normal payment integration in e-commerce sites, how difficult will it be for laymen to use? So yeah, so basically when we talk about actually transferring money, it is not that tedious of a task. We usually have a wallet called MetaMask that we use on desktop. Um, that we use to make some Ethereum based transactions. So it's not difficult if they are integrated well with the system. You can do it with a click of a button. All you have to do is remember your account details, your basically your password and your unique registration ID that you have. If you guys lose that, then the transactions won't be possible. So yeah, so if they're integrated well, you can easily use them. A lot of payment portals, a lot of even Tesla has invested a lot of money in Bitcoin. They have started taking payments in Bitcoin. So a lot of companies are going towards Bitcoin payments. So yeah, that is essentially the future. Can a blockchain be stored as a file? So uh, it's not a file; it's a network. So when we talk about, you can take example of a computer lab. All the systems are connected with each other, and all the an admin can actually access what is going on in all these systems. He can make sure that all these systems are running in a specific manner. So this is sort of a network of sorts. What if someone hacks into the account? They hack the account details. Bitcoin transactions cannot be tracked, so it can be used for illegal purposes. Yeah. So basically, it's really important for us to keep the information stored and secure. If you just give out your account details to anyone, anyone can easily trace them. Sorry, anyone can easily use them for making transactions for illegal purposes, and you won't be able to trace it. So that is where the awareness of the user comes into play. So the users have to be really aware, and they have to really know like what they're doing. If you guys are transferring money to the wrong account, then it's gone. You are not able to retrieve that. Like for example, all the payment portals like PayPal, you can fight for a conflict. Like if you have sent the money, if you have transferred money to the wrong person, you guys can raise a conflict, and some sort of a conclusion will be derived. Either you will get the money back, or the user will be contacted. But in this case, you won't be able to trace the transactions, and if the transaction is done, you can do nothing about it. So yeah, the awareness of the user really is really important. Is it good to buy cryptocurrency? Yeah. So basically, you can see there's a lot of applications of cryptocurrency and blockchain. So all of us believe that in future years, everyone and all the major companies and all these major institutions will be moving towards blockchain. So in the larger picture, we can say yes. There's a huge scope of investment in the crypto space, in the in different cryptocurrencies. You should not go for unstable cryptocurrencies which you have no idea about. You can go for cryptocurrencies which are popularly known, which have been there for years, which has a lot of people, a lot of miners. You can surely invest in them because there's indeed a good future for blockchain ahead. Yeah. So what are the different ledgers in blockchain? Yeah. So
So
I'll be
could you
coming to
repeat
that.
your last couple of statements? I think there was a network glitch on the audio side actually.
Okay. Okay. No problem. So basically, I just said someone asked if it's good to invest in cryptocurrency, if it's good to buy cryptocurrency. Um, I would say that as we all see, there's a lot of applications, and in future, good things are expected out of blockchain and cryptocurrency in general. A lot of institutions, a lot of financial institutions, and a lot of companies are moving towards Bitcoin, towards blockchain systems, towards blockchain networks. So I think there is a huge scope of investment in Bitcoin. If you look at it, there might be some of the unstable cryptocurrencies that you should not invest in because you don't know if if it's for real or if it's a hoax. For the cryptocurrencies which has been around for a while, I don't think it's a bad investment because in the future it's going to grow for sure. So yeah. What are the different ledgers in blockchain? Yeah, so I was talk. Okay, so I'll come on to that as well. There are basically two different type of ledgers when we talk about blockchain. There's two type of blockchains. There can be a public blockchain and a private blockchain. So public blockchain is available to anyone who's on the internet. You guys can access that particular blockchain. It's available to the public, but there are some private blockchains which are set up by some companies. So let's say if JP Morgan wants to run a blockchain network inside their company, but they don't want people outside their company to access it. So they'll set up a private blockchain, and on this private blockchain network, only the people who are allowed to be there, they'll be the nodes. So yeah, so this is a really good. This is where Hyperledger comes into play. There are a lot of different frameworks that we can develop using Hyperledger, which are built for private blockchains. Also, we have this technology called Corda, which is basically a graphical system. Like okay, so not going into the details, but basically what happens is when you use Corda, it helps us to like if I'm the owner of the blockchain, it will help me to give access to some people to only some of the nodes. So let's take an example of Discord. If I have a role of an admin and if some other person have a role of a member, so I will be able to access some of the hidden channels, while that member will not be able to access those hidden channels. So just like that, in Corda, I'll be able to visit and I'll be able to see some of these nodes, while the other person will not be able to. Yes, very nice answer, Gokul. Okay, so maybe we can take all these questions later also. Let's continue with the session for now. Yeah. So how do they work? How does a Bitcoin works? How does a typical cryptocurrency will work? So basically, there are different processes that can be run when we talk about a cryptocurrency, which is you can purchase them, you can mine them, you can exchange them. That means you can exchange with a person. You can do transactions with it, and also there's a concept of hashing. So Bitcoin mining. So Bitcoin mining is basically, it is a process of maintaining this public ledger, which is which is called this process is called mining. So basically, as I said in the protocol of in the consensus of proof of work, my system and some other system will be competing to get certain number of cryptocurrencies in reward to mine the system to solve a computation. So so in the network of miners, the one who gets who solves the computation first will get to keep sort of a reward. When we talk about transactions, we can look at it as I said, there will be a complete log which is maintained. So if I send some X amount of Bitcoin to person B, and they send some Y amount of Bitcoin to person C, the person C will be able to see that that the history of this Bitcoin has been related to me as well. They'll be able to track that the history of this Bitcoin has been that the initial person sold it to B, and then I got it from the person B. So this is basically a chain, and this is traceable. We can see, where these Bitcoin transaction has been done. So it is like a list. Okay, so keys and wallets. There's if you guys know about cryptography, there's a concept of private key and public key. Private key is something which is available to everyone, and public key is something which is available to everyone. And private key is the key that I do not want to show, to anyone on the network. So whenever a transaction has been done, verification is done. Someone can someone can do the transactions using the public key, and the transaction will go through if the pass if I if I'm able to put the password correct, if I'm able to input the private key correctly, then only this this concept of keys will be properly executed. Is cryptocurrency legal in India? Recently, government trying to ban it. Yeah, cryptocurrency is not illegal in India as of now. Cryptocurrencies is like Bitcoin is banned in India. You cannot do transactions with it. Still, there are some third-party services which allows you to buy bitcoins if you want, which are which is like against the laws of India. And basically, what I would say is a lot of people in our government don't really approve something if they don't understand it themselves. So if they're not able to understand this technology themselves, they'll think that this is something which can be done for illegal purposes. But as we all know, there are both the sides to the coin. It can be used for good things. It can be used for bad things. So in the typical case, there can be some advantages and there can be some disadvantages. Uh, like a huge disadvantage for the government and big institutions is that bank charges a lot of a lot of bank charges some transaction fees which will not be possible in case of Bitcoin transactions or cryptocurrency transactions. So it will be huge loss for them as well. So we will have to maintain a good balance of it, but also the government should not get involved uh, in sort of facilitating all these transactions. Otherwise, there won't be a point of making the decentralized network. It will be a centralized network in which the government is controlling it. So yeah. So moving on. That's it for this presentation. Uh, if you guys have any questions, also like I'll also show this at the end of the session. If you guys have any questions, you guys can always connect with me over LinkedIn. You guys can drop a mail if you want. We can also move towards Ethereum a bit. We can talk about Ethereum. I hope the slides are visible. Uh, yeah. Yeah, RBI is also trying to understand. I'm saying government in general, what their notion towards things are. It's just a personal opinion that if they are not able to, if they're not able to formulate certain policies around this whole scenario of how they'll be using it, how they'll be regulating it. Also, like considering, there's a lot of not a good literacy rate in India. Not a lot of people will be able to, they'll not be able to operate. They'll not be able to securely save all these, all their bank, all the crypto wallet details. So, taking all these points in consideration, the government is not confident in introducing their own Bitcoin for now, and also they are not confident in uh, allowing all the people, if anyone wants to take part in cryptocurrency transactions or exchanges. That is the thing. Can cryptocurrency be taxed? Yeah, it can be taxed. And I think the government will be like eventually, eventually all the governments will be trying to come up with sort of a model in which some sort of tax will be applied, which will be which will be some sort of like GST, which is a centralized tax, which is just a one-time tax, which will eliminate a lot of issues that we have currently with a lot of banks. But yeah, so it will be a standard fee sort of a thing. But the regulation and the policies around it is not clear right now, not as of now. So let's talk about Ethereum a bit. So when we talk about the cryptocurrency which runs on Ethereum, it's Ether. So there's Bitcoin and there's different cryptocurrency called Ether. So you guys should know about Ether as well. Uh, it is also used for transactions which is done on the Ethereum network. It's a peer-to-peer currency. Now, why should one use Ether? Now, again, in case of Ethereum, we are not following the typical solving a computation, getting some rewards out of it. We are making a smart contract. We are building a logic. We're building a logic with on basis of which transaction will be awarded. So in the case of Ethereum, we can actually build some logics. We can build some programs that can be run, and according to which we can distribute these cryptocurrencies among all the people and the peers for these payments. So yeah, and there's a concept of gas that we use in order to make sure that these computations are. I mean, the computations and the transactions are not possible without certain parameters, which is also one of the essential ones is gas. So yeah, this is just the brief of crypto. Cryptocurrency on Ethereum. You guys can also read more about it. This Ether is like, I think Ether was the third biggest cryptocurrency for a long time. Then it was I think it's currently the second biggest. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's been around for a while, and a lot of people also invest in Ethereum more than crypto. So yeah, that is also a thing. Uh, Now, what is smart contract? I've mentioned smart contract a lot of times, and we'll also be learning how to write these smart contracts. It's basically a program. So in this case, it's basically a program in which I will define that how can one on the transaction, and how will one, right, how will one facilitate the exchange of money. So I'll be writing some code. It's like we'll be writing code for this. So we can create these contracts and we can deploy them to the Ethereum network. So you can look at it as basically like terms and conditions, which is mutually agreed by everyone on the network, which is agreed by everyone who's on the Ethereum net. And based on these smart contracts, we can make a lot of exchange of money, transfer of money, not money, transfer of currencies, transfer of cryptocurrencies like Ether. So some of the features of smart contracts that once it is executed and when it's deployed, it cannot be changed. If you want to change it, you'll have to deploy some other versions of it. Now, any transaction that is done on top of smart contracts are totally immutable. Again, the concept of blockchain, we cannot alter with these transactions. These records are permanent. Um, so yeah, so basically you can read. These are just basic concepts we've been discussing all throughout the session. So yeah, so there's a concept of EVM. EVM is basically a virtual machine that is designed to operate as a runtime environment for these smart contracts. So for Ethereum-based smart contracts, we execute them using a EVM. Now, EVM so basically we code these smart contracts, and basically we use um, sorry, we deploy and we sort of upload these smart contracts on EVMs. So they're operated in the sandbox environment. So some of the features of Ethereum that we can write smart contract in a lot of different languages, and to understand in a one standard language, it will convert it into a bytecode. So bytecode, so the bytecode that we get is not readable for us. It is usually read and executed by the EVM that we are using. So yeah, so essentially EVM is guaranteeing us that no sort of cyber attacks and no sort of tampering will be done um, to the transactions. And again, the proof of stake, that transactions will be held according to the logic that I define, according to the smart contracts that I write, according to the code and the logic I define. Yeah. So we have this concept of a decentralized application. So a lot of us use App Store, right? But a really popular term that has come up in the past few years is DApps. So these applications are not centralized; these are decentralized applications. These are not deployed on a specific backend. These are not deployed on, Azure, your AWS cloud services, your GCP, your Google Cloud and stuff. These are deployed on the blockchain networks. These are deployed on Ethereum, on Bitcoin networks. So basically, all these applications have the usual, the front end and the back end. The back end is involved is done through the through blockchain, through different decentralized your systems, and the front end is, it's done like it's done. It's done using React. It's done using Angular, and all that things. So we design front end and using React or using Angular JS. So when it's done, we have a DApp. Uh, and there's also another component of Ethereum, which is the DAO. DAO is basically it's sort of like full form of DAO is Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and it's a digital organization which aims at operating these all the arrangements, and they help in maintaining a hierarchical management. So. Uh, yeah, so it exists on blockchain network where it is governed by its protocols and they rely upon smart contracts. So yeah, so DAO, the concept of DAO is like, it's not a beginner friendly concept. You can read about it later, but we'll be focusing mainly on the smart contract things, and the virtual machine for today. So yeah, I think it's done. Um, Also, as I mentioned, I'll mention it again. You can see a pinned comment which has this repository, which is actually this repository. If you guys want to, get these slides, if you guys want to, if you guys want to go through these resources, you guys can check out this repository. Feel free to start it and fork it if you want. You guys can visit these presentations and you guys can go through them if you want. Now, now we will be looking at some Solidity development. So smart contract developments. So so basically, what is smart contract? Smart contract is a logic that we are writing. So we'll be using some sort of a language for interacting with it, right? So we use this language called Solidity, which is the mostly used language for writing smart contracts. It is like influenced with JavaScript and Python and C++ mainly, and it's like the most stable language out there for writing smart contracts. If you guys want to learn about Solidity and how to write it, the best source for writing for learning about Solidity will be its documentation, because it's the most comprehensive resource that you can find over the web. So if you guys want, you can also check out the docs for Solidity. It's not really tough to learn about Solidity. It's a fairly easy language to learn. If you guys have experience, given that you guys have experience with JavaScript and Python. So if you guys have any question, I'll take few questions, and maybe we can go ahead with with, with the hands-on experience of this workshop. We can maybe deploy a smart contract, a basic one. If you guys have any questions, let me see. No, the MetaMask don't charges us any money for making a wallet. Okay, so I think we're good to move ahead with smart contract development. Uh, is there demand for blockchain developers? Yes, indeed. If you have been a web developer for a while, if you are familiar with all these concepts of if you are like really proficient with JavaScript, you can surely go ahead and learn blockchain development. It's a really booming field. Um, Also, a lot of these companies which hired normal software developers 4 or 5 years back, and if they want to start a blockchain division, they are the people who get training for blockchain, and they are the ones who can learn within 6 months or 1 year. So if you are actually starting with blockchain, you should not focus on like anything else other than first sharpening your web development skills, especially your JavaScript skills, learning about front end development, because eventually you'll be creating these logics on Solidity as well as deploying them using the front end and the back end. In India, yes, yes. In India, a lot of organizations are hiring, specifically they're specifically hiring blockchain developers. They're looking for someone who can, implement these tokens, who can deploy these contracts, who can, write these logics. So there's a lot of scope. If you guys want, you can look for some roles, look for some internships or jobs on LinkedIn as well. Like there's a lot of opportunities for blockchain developers. Yeah, so blockchain. So if you're writing so yeah, so for blockchain development, it mainly involves writing a smart contract, which is a logic, and it's mainly done in Solidity. So you should learn about Solidity. You should go through the documentation. You should really get the hang of it. Also, if you're moving towards making full-fledged decentralized applications, that if you're looking to deploy, these applications, for example, there's a very, very basic project that we do in web development, which is a to-do app. So if we make a to-do app, and what we do is we make a front end and back end. So for the backend part, what we'll be doing is we'll be deploying it to, let's say Ethereum net, or we'll be deploying it to some other whatever network you're using. You can deploy it to that, and it will work. It will function like really well. Also, basically, it costs some money if you're deploying it to the main Ethereum net. So you should try testing these applications on a test net. Then you should deploy them to the main net. Just a second. Um, I'll have to refresh YouTube for once. Just a second. Yeah, so difference between Hyperledger and Ethereum. Okay, so it's a good question. So these are two different sort of technologies which are involved. Hyperledger is mainly used for business organizations. They are mainly used by for your business to business transactions. This mainly involves your private blockchains, while Ethereum can be used for these for B2B transactions, as well as development of these decentralized applications. So DApp development also includes can be done through Ethereum. So this is like the basic difference. And as I said, Hyperledger can be used for your private blockchains. So Ethereum is like a public network, while Hyperledger, if you're building a network over Hyperledger, it will be a sort of a private network. This is just a basic difference. You can always look up these differences. So yeah, okay. So let's start with the hands-on session. So in order to compile these documents, you can do it using a VS Code, using your Atom or whatever text editor you guys prefer, your ID that you guys prefer. But there's one website which is Remix, um, which is like widely used for your smart contract development and deployment, which is like really beginner friendly. If you guys want, you should just type this this link in your browser, and you'll be able to compile and run the code in your browser itself. Is Ethereum based on Bitcoin? No, Bitcoin and Ethereum are different thing. Ethereum is a different network. Bitcoin is based on traditional blockchain. Ethereum is a network which involves logic. How can I create any project in Hyperledger or Ethereum? If you want to start off by making projects, you can look up for, like, there are very limited resources available, but still you can look up for certain 5-star or best rated courses on Udemy. They will get you started with the basic development, and they will make some sample projects. After that, you'll be always involved in this community. Like, you can reach out to a lot of different communities which are like let's say Matic community, which or some other blockchain developers community. You'll get to know about all these different projects that they will be working on. Then maybe you can use this concept that you applied for your sample projects, and you can use it for your different variations of these projects. Like, if I make a basic payment app today, I can maybe tweak some things and make some different variations of this payment app. Are you not able to open this website? Uh, you can use any browser. You can use Google Chrome if you want. Just go through the website called Remix. You can look up Remix Ethereum if you want. The first result will be the website. Okay, so uh, I hope you guys are able to visit these. There, I hope you guys are able to visit this online compiler. So we'll be using it for today's session. Um, so we'll start off by when you log into this, not log in, when you'll open this, you'll get this sort of a file explorer. We have different things. There's a compiler. There's a option to deploy the transactions and deploy and run the transactions. There's a plugin thing. So basically, yeah. So we have Solidity compiler. We have compilers for all the other languages that I mentioned, like Viper as well, that you can use. So you can just click on this, and this will create a new file. So let's name this file as my contracts.sol. SOL is the file extension that we use for Solidity codes. So like, we use JS and we use other file extensions. For Solidity, it's SOL. So yeah, so let's say we have this thing, and what we have to make sure is the compiler version that we're using is the same as we declare in our smart contract. So we're using a 0.7.6. In this compiler, there are a lot of options. You can go through you can use any of the compiler versions. Let's say we stick to 0.7.6. So how we start is, we basically write pragma solidity. I'm going to define the version that we're using. So yeah, so basically this pragma, what the pragma keyword does is, it defines what version of compiler that we'll be using to run this, uh, to run our smart contract. So when we define it like that, it will choose that specific compiler. We can, and it does not mean that it will run the exact compiler for 0.7.4. It will work for 0.7.4 and above. So but I cannot use this 0.7.4, and I cannot specify the compiler here 0.88 dot something. So yeah, this is something we have to take a note of, that this is how we sort of declare what type of compiler that we're using. Okay, increase the font size. I hope it's visible now. Is it better? I discussed what is the difference between blockchain and database. You can go back to the stream and you can see. But it's better now. Okay, so this is how we sort of declare what type of compiler version that we'll be using. This is the pragma keyword that we use. Now I'll be defining this sort of structure. I'll write contract, and I'll give this um, same name as the name of my file. You should follow this. This is not something that you should follow. This is something that you should follow. Like you should name uh, your this thing as same as your file name. So now we'll be declaring some variables. So the way you declare variables in Solidity is in order to declare an integer variable, I'll be using uint. So you type it as uint a and uint b. So this is how I basically declare a normal integer variable. So this is how I declare two integer variables a and b. Okay, let's move ahead and declare a function now. Function add. Let's say we are doing an add function. I'll write the word external. I'll return a plus b. So I hope you guys are able to understand what this function will do. This function will take two variables. It will then what it will do is it will return the summation of both the variables. Now, important thing to note here is I have used the word external. So when we're trying to define functions, we can define it in 3 or 4 ways. Generally 4 ways, which are we can use. We have a private, we have external, we have public, which is exactly what it means. Like private function cannot access the if I try to access these variables inside this function, I will not be able to do that. Similarly, I will not be able to access these variables. Like I said, in the private, if I write private here, I will not be able to extract the variables which are defined in this function. If I write it as let's say internal, then only the function calls that I make inside this function, I'll be able to extract it. If I type it as basically internal follows the concept of C++, like inheritance. You can inherit some of these functions. Yeah. So if I type internal over here, so this internal will mean that only this function can be inherited, but it's not entirely available for me to access. For external, sorry, for external, it means that only from the outside we can access these variables only from the outside, and when we call it public, we can call this function anywhere. So this is basic function declaration, and this is the basics of your variable declaration. You guys can learn more about it in the documentation. It's not a big deal. Sorry. So yeah, so this is a basic contract. This is how we generally write code. Now, what I'll do is I'll actually write some code that will be actually able to uh, get some information out of it. So let me declare another integer. Let's call it value. Okay, I'll declare a function. Let's say get value, and I'll type external view returns event. Then I'll declare what's inside it. It will return the value of the variable. So basically, I've used the word external, which means that this can be this can be accessed only from the outside. And if you omit the view keyword in the function declaration, it means that it can modify the data. So when I type view, it means it can only read the data inside the function. So this means it's only accessed in the form of read. I cannot modify it. So that's why we are just getting we're just taking the value. That's why I've written view. We are not modifying it. That's why I'm not the other. If I were to modify this the value this value, then I will not be using view, because then I'm doing some operation like some editing it, so modifying it. So we'll not be using view then. This is just for reading it. Then it returns an integer value. um, yeah. So let's take another function, which will actually modify this function. Let's say we call it set value. Okay. Again, external. I will not use view this time because I'm actually modifying some values in this. And what we'll do is we'll assign this value as okay. So here we have to declare another variable. Um let's set which will set the value of value as some other variable. So I'll declare a event underscore value. So what we're doing is yeah. So basically, what this contract will do is it will take some value and it will return it, and it will also change the value of set value as the value that we gave in the get value. So if we just go on to compile this, like you'll be able to understand it if we compile it. Just a second. I'll go in the compiler. I'll click on compile my smart contract. So it has compiled. Um, Now I will go on the deploy. I'll go on the deploy section. We have different options. We can use JavaScript virtual machine. We can use injected Web3. We can use Web3 provider. We'll be using JavaScript virtual machine, which means we are using it on our local system. Then we have options for different accounts. So these are the sample accounts that Remix has created for us to make any test transactions. So it has 100 ether written after it. It does not mean that you can cash out these ether. You cannot. You cannot transfer. These are just sample sort of currency which is done just to deploy and test these transactions. So we will not change any of these information over here. Let's keep it right there. I can use all these different ones that I want. I'll go with it. We have this gas limit and value. We have the option to deploy. I'll click on deploy. So you can see there was some sort of transaction that information that I get over here. And under the section of deployed contracts, I will get information about my contract that I deployed. So I get the information about contract, I get the address, and then when I actually like I got it like this. When I expand it, I get the two function that I declared. So let's see what is there in the get value. I'll click on it, and what did I get? I get 0. So it means that there is no value assigned to get value as of now. So what I'll do is I'll take some value. Let's say I'll write 15. Um, I'll I'll try to set this value. So what I'm doing is I'm feeding in a value, like I did for the function set value. So the logic behind set value is I'm feeding in a value, and it will assign and it will change the value of underscore value to value. So if I click on set value, transaction successfully executed. If I try to get the value again, you can see this time it's actually 15. I can run this again. If I type 1,000 and I click on set value, click on get value, and it will change to 1,000. So this is just a very simple example of smart contract that we deployed here. We can deploy the smart contract multiple times because it's a testnet. We are free to deploy it multiple times. I can click on deploy, and it will deploy it again. I'll click on deploy, it will deploy it again. So yeah. So I'll see if anyone has any questions. Okay, so how to install Ethereum? So basically, you don't have to install Ethereum. You can just interact with all these compilers and all these things, all these tech stack that we use to deploy them. Uh, we can use Remix, or we have like dedicated software like Truffle, Gnash, which we use for our wallet management, and Truffle we use for deployment. I showed you by Remix. If you're using Truffle, it's not that hard. You just have to write some of the commands. Like here, I'm just clicking on deploy. Over there, you have to write the command. Truffle deploy. You have to write Truffle compile, all these commands, and it will do the exact same thing that I'm doing, and it will create all these values that we have. So yeah. Um, so I hope no one has any questions. If there is any questions, you can put in the chat. And I think that's it for the basic code that we wrote today. Also, I like to share with you guys this great website that we have, which is called Solidity by Example. So as I said, okay, so we can go through the first program, which is Hello World. So this is a really good website that you can use in order to get the sample codes of these compilers. So when we look at it, it is a sample code for how to how to print a hello world. So this website actually has a compilation of all the sample programs that you might need as a beginner. You might need all these different if else condition, or all these how to implement a for while loop, how to implement all these arrays, how to implement structures, and all these how to handle errors and all these. So you'll be getting the basic code for all these. You can go through it. You can use any of them. You can run all of these. If you're trying to build some applications, like we have a multi-signature wallet, which means a wallet which can be signed by multiple people. We have ERC20 token. We have one directional payment channel. If you want to create bi-directional payment channel, you can just easily go through. If you're trying to start with it, if you don't have much knowledge about it, you can go through the code. You can come over here. There's like the code is properly. It has all the comments. What is going on in which part. We can easily learn about what is the concept behind the code, and you get all the sample codes. So it's a really good sort of collection of all these resources that you might need as a beginner. Some of the hacks is also possible. Like as I said, I can as I mentioned, like in place of this external, I can write private, right? Uh, I can write private. But does that mean that all the variables under this will be private? Yes, it will be. But if I'll try to deploy this, does it mean that no one can access it? No, it's wrong. So if I'm a hacker, if I'm trying to get the information out of it, there are some ways that I can guess the address value, then I can guess the hash value, then I can convert the hash value into integer value. So you should not have this sensitive information or passwords which are stored under the private functions, and you think that these are private so no one can see them. No, anyone can extract them using all these hacks. There are different hacks also mentioned on this website, and how you can tackle them, and how to basically address them. So that is it for the coding part. That is it from my side as a as an introduction to blockchain. If you guys have any questions, let's keep it open for questions. If you guys want these codes, it is there as functions.sol and basic syntax.sol files. You guys can go through these files, you can copy and paste, and you can actually try to run these contracts on your own as well. So I think we should do a small Q&A for 5-10 minutes. If you guys have any questions, uh, you guys can let me know. Also, this for the organizers. If you guys have saved any questions for the last, it's a good time you can ask me.
Hello, sir. This is Gaurav Mahanti. Uh,
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Like we really thought of holding a Q&A session, but like you addressed each and every questions during this session. That's great. That's very kind of you. So thank you for that. And like that was a very great session. I personally enjoyed a lot. That was quite refreshing. And like many of us, like we are like forced to like attend some sessions which are completely irrelevant to what we do. But this was completely optional session, but it was the most useful like in a while that I have attended. It was a
Thank you
great
so much.
session. Yeah, thank you. And like the Q&A session is still open. You can like keep posting your questions. We'll answer to that. And even if you're not posting now, but like keep in mind that the WhatsApp group is still open. You can like keep posting your questions there too. And I'll make sure that each and every one of your question is addressed. And as said earlier, like this event, like this webinar is in collaboration with Girl Script community, India's like largest tech community. And some of you like who don't know about Girl Script is like it has been a like community who is relentlessly working to change the life of the students, like by imparting tech education skills. It is basically a community that doesn't demand money from anyone. Instead, like it's fish for passionate individuals who can transform the world. So like for the Telegram group of Girl Script, we have posted the link in the description. You can join that and be a part of this community too. And for this session, yeah, like everyone is saying thank you, sir. Like thank you, sir, personally. Like, it has been a great session.
Thank you so
So
much
if
for inviting me. Yeah, and a
yeah,
lot of people are asking about the project file. Yes, it's also pinned in the comments. You guys can see it. Otherwise, I'm also in that group. I'll just share that
Uh,
link, and you can go through the GitHub repository.
we will also be sharing this. We one of us will make sure that as soon as the live session ends and this becomes a recorded session, we'll be changing the description or we'll be doing it in some sort that all the links which you have
Yeah,
referred, starting from the ID in which you worked on to the GitHub with your
yeah,
permission, of course, with your GitHub link.
yeah,
We'll be
sure,
posting
sure.
on your description, and you can anyone who's watching, who's going to watch this in the future, can refer to it. And so, like Gaurav said, it was a wonderful session. The best part about it was the hands-on. Like it was not something, because blockchain, to be very frank, is something which, as I said in before also, it's a very fascinating and a very common topic nowadays, because if you can hear a lot of tech enthusiasts talking about blockchain, and it's something which people have no clue about. Personally, I had no clue about it. So yeah, but rather than just having a session about what is blockchain and just having a boring theory about it, personally the hands-on session was something which was really fascinating and something to learn about. And obviously you couldn't teach the whole thing, and but you surely like created that, instilled that amount of interest that one of us, each and every one of us, go and learn more about it. So thank you so much, sir.
Yeah,
and
I just tried to complete. I just tried to cover up the all like the basics of it. That's why I use the ID. Like I use the remix ID. I don't use it in general because it's easier for you to understand like how you can see these two functions. You can see the values changing. You can see what's happening and how we're deploying it. It won't be that beginner friendly if I'm telling you guys if I'm teaching you guys in a command line terminal. That's why you should all be taking this as a sort of a homework. You guys can go on the internet. You can learn about truffle. You can learn about all these different tools which is out there now to how to use them. And in case you have any questions, I'm always open to questions. You can always contact me through my email, LinkedIn. And I won't cut you off. If you guys have anything else to mention, yeah, you can go ahead.
And to know more about it, like we are like posting a feedback form in the end, so like everyone please fill that form so that we can know how we did, and in future we'll make sure that come up with some great ideas. Don't forget to subscribe the channel. Like we are like we'll be holding these events very frequently, so do subscribe it, do like this event if you liked it. And yeah, that's it. If you have any question, I guess do there everyone saying thank you, sir. That was a great session. Uh, so I think we should end this session. Chantan.
Yes, sir. And also, for all the viewers, we might be adding a feedback question which says, which basically asks if you would be interested in a advanced course on blockchain. Obviously, this was a very beginner-friendly course, as sir said, but we can have one on a little bit higher level. If Pranjal sir would be fine taking that course too, we could have him here because I can see messages flooding with how great the session was and how
Yeah.
amazingly you took it. So yeah,
Like
please.
if you guys are interested, we can actually build a live project over here, which will give you an actual hands-on experience. Of course, you won't be able to absorb a lot of it if I'll tell you in the session. That's why let's keep it till here. You guys can also explore it on your own. Also, like if you want in future, yes, we can definitely collaborate again. And I would love to take I would love to take all these guys to a lot more advanced concepts of development as well. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that would be great, sir.
So stay connected to Webwiz. We have our social handles also in the description. Stay connected. Any future post shall be given there. Any future information. Anyways, I
Yeah.
think we can end the session now. Thank you.
If you have liked this session, feel free to post and tag our club Webwiz anywhere you want. Handles are in the description. So yeah, thank you for now. We can end the session.
Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for joining in. See you guys.